3, 2, 1, and we're live.
Damn, son.
Yo, oi, yeah, we're live, yeah.
Yeah, we got Eigenbros and the cat.
Eigencats.
Eigencat.
Hey, Eigencats.
There's one for the physicist.
Hell yeah.
Eigencat.
Yeah. She's so subordinate, dude. Look at that.
I know she loves it.
She's such a hoe, dude.
She loves the pets.
You're a slut, dude. Just taking all
She's
the
got
love
that
and
head
affection.
you just want to squeeze.
I do it when I'm annoyed with her. I just like give her really rough petting.
Give her a
Yeah, she loves it.
Squeeze-a-roo.
Just like,
I like her.
yeah, she's good.
You know how I
She's
feel
good.
about cats usually, but she's all right.
She's a little crazy, man.
Yeah.
I rescued her from her shelter. So.
Would you say you're a cat person, Juan?
I think for some time I was, but I don't know. I feel like, well, I don't know. I think I'm an equal opportunity like pet person. Hey, don't fucking do that shit. Look at
So
this.
you're just about
Look at
the pet themselves.
Yeah, like if I like their personality. What the fuck? Jesus Christ.
She's amped up now. She wants to hunt something.
Yeah, no, I'm like if I like the pet's personality, I'll like,
You'll be into them.
Yeah. I take them as a case by case. Don't fucking look at this shit, dude. She's biting the cable.
I know. She's
Oh my god. This is why you were in a shelter. Somebody put you in there.
Yeah, we may have to put her in a box or something.
Yeah, Schrodinger's cat right here.
Yeah, we're gonna Schrodinger her up.
No, I don't want to look at this shit. I don't want to look at your butthole. Get away.
She wants that butt scratch.
Yeah, she wants butt scratches. She has nicknames, by the way.
What's that?
One time she stole bacon off of Karina's plate, and I called her Bacon Bandit.
Nice.
Bacon Bandit. One time she literally sat on her shit, and like she didn't. Well, because cats, you know how they instinctively cover up their fecal matter.
Yeah.
Which is an interesting instinct, by the way.
It really is.
Isn't it?
What would be the point of that?
I think they don't want to leave a trace of them around, so they try to cover up their
so
fecal
they can't
matter.
be hunted.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Which is a great
Very
instinct.
true, probably. Yeah.
Like, to think about.
It's so weird how instincts get
passed on. Right?
passed on. Yeah, it's like why?
It's just behaviors.
Why? How?
Yeah.
It's so weird.
It's like, it's just like a positive behavior that was passed on to most cats.
Yeah.
I don't know if big cats do it, like lions or something,
Maybe not, because they're like apex, right?
Yeah.
So they may not.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
I mean, even cats, though, are self-domesticated, too, so.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
they just, like, literally just come up to
But
people.
they're smaller, so they could potentially have more predators, I would imagine.
That's
Random
true.
predators.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. It's interesting, though, how instincts even develop, and like, I'm just always curious, like how an instinct develops over time.
Dude, that's such a, like, I wanted to become an evolutionary biologist.
Because of that?
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I was so curious about evolution and shit. And, like, unfortunately, my undergrad program, well, maybe I wouldn't have been a physicist if they had it. But, like, but yeah, I was interested in, like, mutations and how they occur and shit.
Yeah.
And how things are passed on, right? Through, like, the evolutionary mechanisms, how life forms, develop these traits and then successfully pass them on. But because I used to think like it was, like a one shot thing. Like I always used to think back to the first man,
Right.
the first man who thought of who was like a genius.
Right. And then it stuck.
Yeah, but I think it was more of a transitionary.
I think it is too, but it's so weird how I can even transition, because it would have to be so incremental that it's almost like, how would you even notice a change?
Yeah, like to create the amalgamation of behaviors and shit that we have today, right? And like make us successful or whatever.
It's very interesting.
Yeah. And I used to think like, what makes things, please don't buy this.
She's going to be a problem.
I know, yeah, whatever. When Karina gets here, she'll run. to the door. But like, I used to think like our mutations, because mutations are you actually can put animals in certain environments, and what causes mutations is stress. So the more stressed you are, the more mutations will occur.
Always it's stress?
Yeah, like because the thing is, stress causes like what is it? It's like oxidation.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this used to be like maybe 10 years ago now. That was kind of like the leading theory. Like oxidation causes like DNA damage, and like the repair mechanisms for DNA that introduces like some mutations, some beneficial, some bad, right? So this leading theory of like of how mutations develop, like it made me used to think like how do species develop certain adaptations to certain environments, right?
Yeah.
Like, are they stressed enough that like?
Well, I imagine with animals, they're always stressed, right?
Yeah,
because they're literally under attack and,
in horrible conditions all the time.
Yeah. Like I imagine like if you put a human in an environment where there's fight or flight all the time, I think their IQ will probably drop to like.
You think?
Yeah. I mean, I think they'll still have some basic like cognitive abilities, but I think like there's studies that have shown that your ability to empathize, I think, decreases if you're put into an environment where like it's stressful and stuff.
Why would that affect empathy?
I think because what their conclusion was that like, sociologically you want to put yourself in a more advantageous position to not have to think about those people, like sort of like game theory.
Because you've already got enough on your plate.
Yeah. Like you're looking out for yourself.
Okay.
Like you have to look out for yourself.
Right.
So you kind of have to like separate.
Push it away.
People. Yeah.
I see.
So yeah, I think in a primal way, like if we were reduced to our basic instincts, we would kind of turn into like apes a little bit. At least revert a little bit back. I wouldn't say like
maybe.
I wouldn't say we are like as reasonable as we are now. Because like if you feed people and you house them and stuff, and they feel safe, I think they'll have a better. I think they tend to do better on like test scores of IQ and stuff.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
makes sense.
But
I always think of how, or one thought I had the other day was that it seems a lot of people treat your brain as like an infinite resource, like your ability to think of things and do things all the time. And I think that's a bad way of thinking. I think you should think of your mind as a finite resource and has a finite amount of energy.
Right.
Where the fuck was I going with that?
I don't know, but I will add on to this because like there is a theory of like willpower too. Like, willpower is a finite resource, and willpower is tied to like your thinking, right? Because like you can only execute so many things, or your brain can only do so many.
Is willpower a finite resource though?
I would say
I wonder.
Because think about
maybe it is, but this is what I think about willpower is maybe that it's a finite resource, but if you make something habitual where you're giving into some willpower or something, then eventually that
you reduce
you'll need less
load.
willpower.
Right, you reduce the cognitive load for that.
Yeah. So you can take on more in a sense.
Yeah.
But you still have the same amount of willpower, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, let's say if you had a lot of bad habits or something, then your willpower would just be used on all of that stuff.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
No, yeah, totally. I mean, even in my life, that's kind of true. Like I try to reduce the amount of things that I have to do in a day.
Right.
And if something new is introduced, like it'll take me like a while to adjust to that something new.
Yeah. But when it's introduced and you're used to it, it's a lot easier.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, I think willpower is like definitely, I think it has to do with like the cognition too. Cause like if you think about a list that you make in your, like, I don't know if some people make literal lists before their day begins.
Yeah.
And they just
I'm not nearly that organized.
I do it in my head. I make something in my head. I'm like, I loosely want to do these things. Cause I mean, at a certain age,
loosely is very loose sometimes for me.
Yeah. But I mean, it's because you want to get to these things, but sometimes things do come up. So, so you want to like be fluid enough to where, you can manage these things in enough time. So
Or if the laziness kicks in, then
That
it's just
too,
like
but-
it's too late.
But yeah, like but that's what I'm saying. Like if you put enough on your plate, like for me, I think having 3 main things on my list is usually enough, like to do in a day. Like if I really want to devote enough focus on something,
Yeah.
then that'll be the 3 things.
Right.
But yeah, it's interesting.
Now that I've been out of grad school, though, I feel like it's easier for me to do the things I want to do now.
That's good.
So I can just say, oh, I want to do this. Because
Yeah.
I feel like I have more energy now. In graduate school, I've noticed that when you're in grad school and you want to do other things besides your homework and crap,
Yeah.
it's so much harder because it's like you already have so much shit to do. It's like when you do have time, you're just like, I just want to not do anything.
Yeah, you just want to be a vegetable.
You know? Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
So that goes into the whole thing of your mind
Is a finite resource. Your
Totally,
energy
yeah.
is a finite resource.
Yeah. Yeah.
you know,
yeah.
you can't just have infinite energy, which is how, professors think.
like
It
your
seems a
brain
lot
is
of times
yeah.
that students just have infinite energy to do anything and everything.
limitless brain. And,
Yeah.
it's just like.
And I think a lot of people think that way too. They think you have
Just an unlimited resource of energy in your brain, which is not true.
And I think that's how you achieve burnout too.
Yeah, I think so too.
And also,
Yeah.
you're spinning your wheels after a certain point to where you're working, but you're accomplishing so much less that it's not even worth that extra bit.
Like you're saying, you reach a plateau of
Yeah.
output. That
Like,
it's just
I already saw with the thing I was trying to solve the other day. Like, I was working on something the whole day, and then I got on something I got stuck on, and it was taking me forever to try to resolve this issue. And I said, "Fuck this! I'm just gonna leave it."
yeah.
Literally today, I open it up and do it today, and I solved it within like a minute. So it's just like,
Yeah.
sometimes
yeah.
it's best to just stop.
Yeah, no, totally. I agree. Like leaving
Yeah.
something and then because the brain does post processing in the background.
Yeah, I
which
agree.
is fascinating. But like, yeah,
And sometimes the brain just needs to recuperate energy.
yeah,
It
yeah,
just-
that's true. That too.
I don't know why it does that or why you can't figure things out.
Yeah. What is that?
Yeah,
Right? Like why?
because your mind is still working, right?
Yeah. But it's
for
like
some reason it's just like you can't tap into like the
I think maybe because sometimes like for me, I'm a naturally intuitive person, so like, but as I've gotten older, a lot of the intuition is kind of I've kind of been using my logic muscle more. I've developed my logic muscle through math and shit.
well, especially
As
with
I've gotten
physics,
older,
because
yeah.
intuition you will realize really fucks you over in
Fuck
certain
it.
ones.
Yeah,
right?
definitely. Oh hell yeah.
Yeah, when
When you're
Gotta
doing
be into
stat
trouble.
mech, I'm sure it comes up too. Like
Yeah.
the only way your intuition really is nice is when it's like classical mechanics.
Yeah.
That's why I
yeah,
like
yeah.
classical mechanics, because it's like, okay, I'm used to all this.
Yeah.
But then when you
start
but then
going
the math-
outside of that.
But then the math helps you more though in class mech.
It
'Cause
does,
it's not-
but
it's
the thing
not
is,
like-
I can think with intuition a lot better with
Classical mechanics.
Yeah.
I can immediately just say, okay,
It should behave this way. And you kind of have some idea,
And then I
guess
can
that's
have
fair.
kind of a general idea of what's going on.
Yeah.
And then let the math take over when it's too complicated,
Except the Coriolis force.
Yeah, fuck the Coriolis force. Why can we not solve that one? I don't understand. There's
I think-
something that's a missing. I bet if we revisited it now, we
It's
probably
one of
would be
those
able to.
things where
yeah.
the brain power thing where you just
Yeah.
like stare at it for too long.
It's just that every time we do it for a while.
I think the
we kinda
success
get
rate has
somewhere.
been 3/4 depending on the problem.
I think so. I think
Like
so too.
there's always one problem that we're like, oh, we got it, and then there's
Yeah.
one problem and there's like, wait, what the fuck? They got
Right.
this. The answer says they say
Yeah.
the answer is this. What the fuck?
I feel like we're a step. We're like very close though.
Yeah.
We're gonna solve it soon.
Yeah.
But
hopefully.
like, what was the one that we were really having some
nice intuition on the other
Oh,
day
shit.
or last time.
yeah. Pause. Take a pause for the call.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, we're back.
We might have to edit that.
I was just saying fucking thing sucks the whole time.
We'll do it live.
No, one over.
Fucking thing sucks.
Oh man,
Yeah.
what were we talking about?
Shit. Brain energy.
Yeah, willpower and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean you're right.
Got to conserve energy.
And then classical mechanics, intuition.
Yeah, like intuition. I think like this is a good segue into flat Earth.
Let's do it.
Because intuition is a primary like this is a primary thing that would kind of intuition is well. Let's try to define intuition. By the way,
Okay.
this is what I'm trying to do.
This
right
is
now.
a tough one. I've thought about this recently though, so let's do it.
Yeah. So I think intuition, what I would try to describe it as is sort of people say it's like a gut feeling. It's like it's something that you can your brain kind of builds an idea from experience, in a sense.
Yeah.
And yeah. Well, how would you describe it as?
So I think intuition's a little bit deeper than just building from experiences, because a lot of people have experiences and they have many experiences, but some people only recall like the surface level of an experience.
Yeah.
So let's say, for instance, they were shit. I don't want to try to think of an analogy because it's gonna take me too long.
Okay, sure.
That's what I've noticed also now that I learn more shit. Like, I can't think of analogies as fast because I'm trying to go through all scenarios. So when you get in physics, it just becomes so rigorous that now you are so slow on things.
Yeah,
You have to
fair.
build a perfect analogy.
You're going through processes, yeah.
Yeah,
like
so forget the analogy,
So yeah, that's fine.
but-
That's fine.
We're just going to talk high level. So
Okay.
the difference between that and intuition, I think, is intuition, you're actually looking at the abstract patterns behind those experiences. So you're
Okay.
trying to find generalized things that match up and things that may not necessarily make sense that match up.
Uh-huh.
So certain people who have intuition would pay attention to the kind of pattern behind certain things.
Okay.
Like, for instance, they might see, I don't know, a pattern between atoms and like planets.
Mm-hmm.
Just for a simple example, you say, oh, that solar system looks a lot like the atom. And then you try to apply that in many ways and say, okay, well, other systems act like that.
Yeah.
So it's more of a pattern recognition, abstract kind of thing.
I see. You're trying
So-
to draw a correlation between
Yeah,
these
so
two
it looks
things.
like gut instinct to people, but I think you've already formulated those patterns at some point, and your mind just latches on to the kind of abstract, weird thing about that particular thing you're analyzing.
Would you say it's a lazy instinct?
a lazy instinct?
In humans, yeah.
Oh, to make it more efficient?
Yeah, because
To-
in essence, like it's a leap of faith almost. It's kind of
I don't
like
think it's a lazy instinct. I think it's just an.
Well, I mean,
think
it's helped to survive, but yeah.
Yeah, I
like-
think it is a good instinct because it helps you to see unusual things, and it helps you to see things in an abstract sense, which
Yeah.
can be applied to many systems.
Yeah.
So I think it's very good for applying a certain concept to many different, maybe not even related phenomenon.
Yeah.
So I think it's not a lazy instinct. I think it's actually an efficient instinct would be a better way to say
Okay.
it. Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think the problem with, of course, what we run into with intuition, which a lot of people probably don't or don't even have any conception of, is when you're in higher level physics, your intuition breaks down in certain regimes. So all of our intuition pretty much is built within the Newtonian classical mechanics realm, which is everyday life. And then you really get tested on your intuition when you see how bad and unreliable it is when you're looking at quantum mechanics or when you're looking at special relativity.
Or we're looking at orders longer than a couple meters, right? From within
Right.
your
So it has
distance.
to do with size.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when
scaling.
your scale is too large, and it also has to do with like speed too, because special relativity.
Sure, that's-
when
that's
things are
true.
going too fast, your intuition breaks down.
Yeah.
So the world looks very weird and different compared to what you're used to when you start analyzing higher level phenomena.
So yeah, like that, like I was kind of trying to like draw a bridge to these flat Earth people, because like
Yeah.
their intuition tells them locally the Earth is flat because from their experience, right?
Right.
They say, oh, I can only see, whatever, everything beyond my horizon looks flat. Therefore, the Earth is flat. And
Yeah, but also with the flat Earth. So let's preface this by saying that you made me watch
prompted
this
you.
terrible documentary.
I prompted him to watch this Netflix doc called Beyond the Curve.
Behind the
Behind the
curve.
Curve,
Yeah.
thank you.
I was thinking it was going to be something related to education. I was like, oh, this is going to be
Well,
interesting.
it's kind of a play on words if you
Yeah.
really think about it.
But
Because
then
they're behind the curve.
Yeah. But then I saw the flat Earth shit, and I was like, God damn it! And I had an immediate
So
facepalm.
first of all, what's your like take on the doc? Like, did you think it was a good documentary? Did you think it was kind of long? Do you think it kind of sucked?
I thought it was well made.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't really like to even indulge in that kind of stuff.
I see.
Because to me, like what we were just talking about with brain energy and conservation, I don't like to expend my brain energy on things that are completely solved
Trivial?
problems for me. Yeah.
Trivial for you? Okay.
Not even trivial, it's just that because the thing is, I could see you getting something out of the documentary if you were like maybe interested in the psychology behind it. Because it's actually a documentary that goes good into the psychology
I liked it,
of what the flat earth people are like.
Right.
But the thing is, that's already a solved problem for me as well. So all of the problems that were being talked about in the documentary, they're already old hat for me.
Okay.
So it was interesting, but I'm very accustomed to already understanding the psychology behind
right.
dogma and religion and all those things. Because really, flat earth is like a religion.
Yeah.
They call it scientism even. So it's like it's the same, that's the whole, also back to intuition. That pattern is already recognized by me, and I already understand all those kind of intuitions have that, or those institutions have those same patterns.
Yeah.
When I was looking at the documentary, I mean, it looked like an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting. I was like, all these people, like, he did meth, this guy is a fucking ex-drug dealer probably. This guy's living with his mom. Just it's just a bunch of people who are on the fringe of society, outcasts. They're making some group to make themselves feel special, like they have some special knowledge over people.
Right. So what did you think about the scientists' take? Like, there were physicists on especially towards the end, they talked about how, this is a failure of educators in science, like us as a scientific elite shitting on like, the plebs because they don't really get it. Like, what did you think about that?
Yeah, I think he had a point for sure. But I also think he didn't have a point at the same time because, so I think he had a point in the sense that, yes, I do think a lot of people mistrust science and kind of are skeptical because of kind of the elitist attitude a lot of times. But at the same time, I don't think flat earthers would be saved regardless of how good the attitude was. I think those people would exist and they would find something regardless of whatever environment you are in.
So you think it's more of like a psychological phenomena? Like it's like you're driven to this fringe idea because you want to be disillusioned in a sense.
I think you want to be a keeper of some hidden knowledge, but not in a good way of like being a scientist, of like being in a way where you don't have to put in any of the work and you can be in a special club that other people have to be in tune to be in. So it's like more of an outcast society.
So do you think this is a recent development, or is it like something that, like what I mean by recent development is within the past 20, 30 years culturally, there's been kind of like a red pill movement, right? Where it's like people want to be disillusioned, like the truth about X, the truth about Y. Do you think that's like a recent thing, or is it something that, has been in us for however many, it's like it's been inside of us for thousands of years. And
I think it's a natural state for humans to be in. For like a general population of humans, you're always going to have those kind of secret groups. Like we've had those things since like Greek times. Like, well,
I mean, but back then it was a little more like, the ones that like Pythagoras, right?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking of.
Yeah. But the truth, because the prevailing idea was religion, the prevailing construct of reality was theology.
Right.
But they were like they
were actually doing it right though, because they were like the logicians, right?
Sure.
So that actually makes sense, but it's still kind of that atmosphere because you feel like you're holding some kind of forbidden, crazy knowledge.
But to be fair, you kind of need that, and you need people like that.
Yeah, I think you do,
right?
But
like to kind of push the boundary a little bit. But
but I don't think flat earthers are those kind of people.
No, I know, but these people are doing it obviously not in the right way. I mean, they're skeptical to a point where
I don't think they're skeptical though. I think
you're right. The movie also
thing is, the guy even kind of described this in the documentary where they already know the conclusion and they build all of their knowledge and all of their findings around the preset conclusion. They're not trying to find if their thing is falsifiable or not. They're trying to build from the conclusion back to the beginning.
Right.
So that's not how you do science.
Right.
That's not a scientific method. That's not someone who even seems like they're a critical thinker. It's someone who's reinforcing a religious dogma or some kind of belief.
Right.
So it's not the same thing.
Okay. So so you're saying there's a clear divide between, people like the Greek customs of like the scientific method, the empiricists, like they were
all the original scientists.
Yes,
but I'm sure they attracted probably some kooky people in the beginning because it was so low hanging fruit at that point.
Oh, totally. Yeah. I mean, you think about Archimedes, like doing, like a lot of those people were doing basic science, like Archimedes' principle, right?
Yeah.
Buoyancy and stuff. Like he was like, when you push something down, the water is,
right.
Like this is all basic natural philosophy is what a lot of people called it.
Well, any kind of experiment I'd call science.
Oh yeah, totally.
Philosophy, I would say, purely is just conceiving of something logically.
Oh, but there was but I'm saying like back then there were science and philosophy were kind of the same thing.
Yeah,
until
that's
they diverged, until math came in and made science way more powerful. Right?
I see. Okay.
And then philosophy just stayed in the sort of metaphysical realm.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, philosophy was useful at a point, though.
Yeah, I think there's still a place for it, but like, going back to this, like the doc, like. I thought it was well done. I thought I especially liked the ending. Like
the ending was great.
The ending was
Can you describe the ending real quick?
So at the end they reach a point where, by the way, the experiments are actually rather clever. They end up the first.
Give a little bit more preface. What do you mean the experiments?
So they actually tried to perform experiments where they try to validate that there's no curvature.
Who did?
There's like 2-3 people. They call themselves like a FE Corps or something.
Yeah, the Flat Earth Engineering
Coalition
that they invented. Yeah.
So and these are, they're actually intelligent people, but they actually want to confirm. I think they push themselves to a fringe idea so much that they're not willing to give it up because they would lose everything. They at some point they've gone too far, and that's why anyway that they have to validate their conclusions.
Yeah, I think at a certain point you're going to get members in there who really are kind of inquisitive about it.
Yeah,
and they're a little skeptical of science and things, and they get so bought up in the dogma and they see all the people around them, they think, okay, this must be a legitimate thing. So then they start saying, okay, maybe there has to be some kind of experiment to prove this.
Yeah.
And that was their downfall.
Yeah.
But anyway, keep going.
These are like the more sort of able to actually perform experiments. And there was a guy that was like, actually, experiments are way harder than I thought.
Right.
Like, he said this
I was like, welcome to science, buddy.
Yeah. He's like, wow, I actually give them more credit.
Yeah.
And so in the movie, the first experiment they did, they tried to prove that there was no sort of, not precession,
rotation.
The Earth didn't have any rotation.
Yeah.
In a 24-hour cycle, the Earth is supposed to rotate 360 degrees.
Right.
And he's saying
with
that
with the flat Earth model, they just describe it as the Earth is a flat disk, and then the sun and the moon are just two rotating bodies above the flat disk.
So
there should be no rotation of the Earth. It's just the rotating of the planets themselves. They're saying
exactly. So in this case, thank you for adding that because I'm already coming with ideas. So in the globe model, the idea is that every hour the Earth rotates 15 degrees or so, roughly, right?
Mm-hmm. And in the real model,
the globe model. So basically, what happens is they buy this expensive $20,000 laser and
gyroscope laser,
gyroscope laser, and they test it, and what do they find?
They found the 15 degree rotation.
And so first they think, oh shit, that's interesting. Maybe it's getting some like heavenly radiation.
Yeah, I didn't know what they were saying then. They were picking up the rotation of the heavens or something.
Yeah. So basically it tried to like isolate it. So they put it inside basically a Faraday cage, I think. It's pretty much what it was.
Was it?
I
I didn't
guess
know. I didn't
they tried
understand
to
it.
isolate it from any electromagnetic radiation. So
Okay, I didn't
yeah.
get that part, and I didn't think
Yeah.
about it long enough.
Yeah, so I imagine that's what they did. So they basically put it and isolated in some kind of from any electromagnetic radiation. And
But I'm
then
trying to
they
think,
try
why
to
would
test it again.
electromagnetic radiation have anything
I
to
don't
do
know
with
what
that?
the fuck they think that, dude. Their hypothesis.
I wonder if that's what they were trying to do, though, because I didn't even give it enough thought what they were doing.
Because their idea was that the fucking heavenly, what do they call it?
I don't know.
Whatever, radiation from the heavens. Like,
Yeah.
that was like affecting their measurements in a sense.
Okay.
Like affecting. Oh no! They were saying that the atmosphere was
Right.
affecting the rotation.
That's what I thought they were saying.
Yeah.
Somehow they were thinking you're measuring the rotation of the air or the atmosphere.
Yes. Thank you. But then they
But
showed a
I didn't know
diagram
how.
of. radi-
And they put it in a tube, I
Yeah.
guess, to isolate it from any air particles.
Yeah, but then it also said something about heavenly.
Dude, I didn't know.
Maybe it was a bad thing. but-
They should have explained it more in the documentary
yeah,
too.
but basically they just try to isolate it, and they still kept getting 15
Yeah.
degrees per hour. And so then they try to construct another experiment, which is over the span of maybe roughly 3 miles, they put like poles up, right? And then they shine
Yeah.
a laser.
Yeah, they shined a laser straight across 3 poles. I didn't even get this experiment either.
Yeah, because they were trying to see like the last experiment made more sense than the one they set up. They were trying to set up in the middle.
Well, they were gonna see if they had 3 stakes, right?
Mhm.
If the Earth is flat, the 3 stakes would be exactly the same height
Yes.
in a row, and their laser then should match at every point at the same height.
Oh, right.
So, like, if you have one stake that's 10 meters tall,
Yeah.
the second one 10 meters tall, and the third one 10 meters tall, then they should all be aligned at 10 meters. The thing is,
Yeah.
I didn't really understand why they needed 3 stakes. You can do the same thing with just 2.
Yeah,
Because
because they
if
were saying
one's
the
at
one
10
in the
meters-
middle, because they were saying one in the middle.
Yeah.
If there's curvature, this one would need to be higher up or something, or this one would necessarily be higher up. But then I think, but that middle experiment didn't really make a lot of sense. The one that made a lot more sense was the one at the end, which was you put a laser through a hole,
Mm-hmm.
and naturally if it's flat, it just goes through the hole.
Yeah.
But if it's curved, you need to lift up your light source
Right.
to get.
To get it up to the hole.
Yeah.
Right.
So at first they were like, I don't see your light.
Right.
And he's like,
Well,
yeah, I'm at
explain it a little
17
better.
feet.
Explain it a
Okay,
little
so they
better.
had the same setup. I think it's 3 poles, but this time I think roughly the same distance.
Yeah.
And so at the end, this time they changed it. They're putting light through a hole, like a
Yeah.
laser source through the hole. And at the very end, the guy is saying, are you holding your stick at 17 feet or whatever?
Yeah.
And they all have them at the same height. And they're saying yes. And he's like, I don't see your light source.
Yeah.
What's going on? He's like, can you just put it over your head a little bit, lift it up higher. And they lift it up higher. And sure enough, it goes through.
Right.
Which,
Because the curvature brought it down.
yeah.
So he had to lift it up higher.
Yeah. So the light actually can travel through the hole. And
Right.
yeah. So
And he just goes, "Oh, interesting." You can see his world his world crashing down on him
so
as that happened.
The beautifully shot, because every time there was some kind of reaction that just kind of didn't comprehend in their
Yeah.
brain, like they would just pan to their face and they were just like, wow, that's interesting. And
Yeah, then he was great. It was well cut at the end.
yeah, dude. Oh, I like the dog. It was a little too long. I also thought that the dude, Mark, what's his name? Mark Sargent or something?
Yeah, Mark Sargent is the he's kind of the guy that put flat Earth on the map.
map.
Yeah.
The
There's
globe.
a guy who invented flat Earth, but he's the guy who really
Yeah.
caused the resurgence.
Yeah. Dude, you know what
Yeah.
I liked?
What's that?
I liked the fucking brain,
The what?
the brain coach, the guy who had a brain coach, where he was doing.
I don't remember.
He was doing the hammer thing with the balls.
No.
He was counting he was enumerating like the states. He was like Georgia, California, you
Dude,
remember
I
that bald
missed
guy?
that.
He was like, yeah, hey. He went up to the lady. He was like sunglasses.
The blue sunglasses?
No, not that, not Mark.
Okay.
It was another guy. It was he was like skinny. He was like really small, frail.
I must have missed that part.
Oh damn!
What did he do?
No, he was just like he was one of like the. He was also a flat Earth guy, but he was a lot more like he had a couple screws loose a little bit. Like I mean,
okay. I thought that was all of them.
I mean, yeah, but like he was. No, I would say he was a lot more enigmatic. Like he was
Okay.
just,
You
was
couldn't
funny.
pin him.
He was funny. He had a comic relief to the movie.
Okay, I didn't see that.
But no, I just felt like the movie was the doc was kind of long too. Like it was
it's
too
very
long.
long. Way too long. I was like, I get it.
Yeah. At some points, I was like, I get it. Look, this guy and this, he's kind of carving out a community with these people.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, the content is actually the most poignant part of the doc is a part about science, right? It's a part about like the failure of science in the sense.
See, I didn't think that was a good conclusion though.
Really?
I think it was a way to try to deflect the blame from the flat Earth people a little bit. It's
But
not
it's
really
like-
science responsibility to coddle everyone.
Sure, but
I don't
who
think.
who do you blame, right? The parents or the child? If the child acts like,
The parents. But the
Yeah.
thing is, like, after a certain point, like in school, you're taught all the right things.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, if people might say it in a forceful way or a way that you don't like, get over it. I mean,
yeah, but then
the
that's
information's
teaching,
the
but do
information.
you teach to like from authority, or do you teach from like?
You don't have to teach through authority, though. The thing is, with science, you can actually do the experiments. So really, to me, it's a failure of logic and critical thinking. Like, no matter how nice you say it, if you can't do the logic or the critical thinking, then it's just, it's a wrap anyway. Like, it means you're already going to be going down that path.
So, because for me, I took it as like a failure of the system, in a sense, like the failure of some educators where they're letting, like, because for me, like what made science appealing to me was that you're trying to figure nature out. You're not, it's not like you're imposing your own hypothesis onto nature, and then that's what you think it is. Like I think most humans are prone to that kind of thinking where it's like, I think clouds come from, rain comes from God when he's sad or something. You know what I'm saying? Like you try to create.
I think there's less of that, though.
I still think that's in us, but we have to kind of like guide that natural propensity to try to describe our world in a way that's a lot more rigorous and like, you don't fool yourself kind of thing.
Yeah, I think it's also very convenient to just accept the first conclusion you come up with. Science really trains you to really keep proving something in different ways or disproving something in different ways to really convince yourself.
Yeah.
Because even nowadays, when I try to do a problem, like I might solve it and be like, oh, yeah, I'm convinced of that. But then really, I'm like, am I though? So for me to be convinced by a problem, I have to solve it in at least 2 or 3 different ways. And then it's more convincing to me.
I see. That's good. That's a good approach.
Yeah, you can lie to yourself a lot by just accepting the first conclusion, even if it seems right.
Yeah. No, definitely. I don't know. I think, I mean, do you have anything else to add? Because
I guess I wanted to also just mention, because you saw on my phone, I showed you before the podcast that I did just a back of the envelope calculation just to disprove this guy within like 10 minutes of what he was already saying. I didn't really fully disprove him because I didn't go back and check what exactly the scenario was that he laid out, but I'll give you a kind of a gist of what it was. So essentially, in like the first few minutes of the documentary, the guy says, oh, you shouldn't be able to see this tower in the distance or whatever it was.
Seattle.
Yeah, the Seattle. I assumed it was probably like the Seattle Needle or something.
I think he was in Toronto. He's Canadian, I think. So he was like in Toronto. No, he was in Ontario.
So he was in Washington as well. So it said that he lives in South Whidbey Island, Washington.
Okay.
So yeah, I just looked up where Mark Sargent lives, and it said South Whidbey Island. So it's in Washington too.
Yeah.
and the distance was like, it was like 44 kilometers away.
Okay.
And he said, yeah, you couldn't see this tower from where he was because the curvature of the earth should be such that you shouldn't be able to see it. So then I said, okay, let's really see this. He said that was Seattle.
Yeah.
So I said, all right, let me see what the tallest building in Seattle is. And then the tallest building in Seattle is the Columbia Center, which is 286 meters tall. And basically, I just did the calculation to see exactly how tall something would have to be if it was 44 kilometers away, which is the distance from South Whidbey Island to Seattle, Washington, the point-to-point distance. And it said something would only have to be about 1.5 meters tall for you to be able to see it. So from my calculation, the thing doesn't even need to be that tall for you to be able to see that.
Yeah.
So that was already a debunk right there. I didn't check my work though, so hopefully it's correct. But
I'll check off on it.
maybe you can check it later. We don't want to dwell,
true,
but
true.
I did the calculation, and of course, there's other things. There's other factors like if something else is in the way. Also, you're going through atmosphere, so maybe there's some weird, lensing effects with the light or something. But just my back of the envelope idealized calculations.
Assuming in a vacuum, atmosphere, no consideration of atmosphere.
Also assuming a smooth Earth too, so no dips in elevation or anything that are significant.
Yeah,
it would have to be like 1.5 meters tall for you to be able to see it from that distance.
Okay.
So, and I can believe that, like if you have a telescope, it is. I was like, okay, he's really off then. So unless I really fucked up my calculation, but he was saying that you couldn't see that tower, which that tower is probably clearly more than 1.5 meters tall.
I mean, it's like,
right?
I mean, you said, it was
the tower itself. I guess I could say it. What the tallest building is. So the tallest building in Seattle is actually the Columbia Center. It's 286 meters tall.
Yeah, 286.
And the Space Needle, I looked that one up too. It said it was 605 feet. I didn't put the meters distance. So it's shorter than the Columbia Center, but whatever it may be, because the Columbia Center is 937 feet. Whatever that is, though, you're clearly going to see it.
Yeah. Wow.
So
it's amazing.
His calculations were off, to say the least.
No, definitely. Even in the fact that, like, the beginning. So what did you think about the physicists? Because do you think their responses
I think they were
good?
I think they took it about as seriously as it should have been taken. It seemed like they all just kind of did that within like a 10-minute span or something.
Yeah.
I mean,
do you think they had too much patience? I really like.
I think physicists have way too much patience sometimes.
I don't. I think we need more of it. I mean, come on, professors need more.
But dude, I kind of see those kind of types, like flat Earth conspiracy types. They're a lost cause to me. They're not someone who I'm really interested in trying to win over. They're a breed of people that are going to always be like that. Okay. Like if you saw the documentary in the beginning too with Mark Sargent, he was already a guy who believed everything was conspiracy, which is a very common theme with conspiracy theorists.
Yeah.
One thing's a conspiracy, everything's a conspiracy.
Yeah.
And then it's only when he got bored of all the conspiracies, he went to flat Earth. So it's like he already has the mindset of just being a contrarian despite logic.
Yeah.
So to me, it's just like, I don't even care to put energy into that. Which is why it took me so long to even care about even speaking of or looking into flat Earth.
Yeah.
Because I already know the personality type for that is just a person who believes in pure dogma.
Yeah.
And that's not someone worth any time really explaining things to logically.
There's no point in arguing with someone.
Yeah. If you don't already operate within a logical framework, then it's like the communication barrier is already severed.
Yeah, like if you're not willing to take other facts, right, into consideration.
Well, if you're just not willing to use your critical thinking skills to falsify a concept, it's doing that reversed framework that like the scientists talked about in the video. They start with the conclusion and then work backwards.
Yeah.
They don't start with the beginning of whatever they're doing and then work towards a conclusion.
Yeah, definitely.
So it's completely inverted, and I don't know how to even. It's not even worth conversing at that point.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, shit. Okay, I was just trying to make sure.
Okay, I was gonna say one. If that's not recording.
Yeah, I know, right?
It's happened before.
I know. Yeah, it has. But nah, we're good. Yeah. Shit. I mean, I just kind of wanted to talk about it because I was like, it just came out, I think, last year, and like people were like discussing it and stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck it, let's discuss it. It's like I wanted to hear your take on it. You know what you thought, because
Who else was discussing it? Like other podcasts?
yeah, like well, I just this one other podcast that I listened to, but it was kind of like it kind of addressed more of the psychological things from it.
Yeah. That's what
like-
seemed like the most useful thing to get from the documentary.
Yeah.
But to me, it's old hat. So
Yeah.
I didn't really gain much from it.
Okay. Yeah. No, but the most interesting part was I was trying to draw like a kind of like they were, at least in the podcast I was listening to, they were trying to draw this conclusion from it where, you know, I think they were kind of claiming that we're in an era of red pill.
Yeah.
Like taking the red pill. We're obsessed with disillusionment.
Mhm.
We're obsessed with like, you know, some trying to craft meaning of the world around us because something feels off or
Right.
whatever.
Right.
Whatever that
Feel
means.
is the key word too.
Yeah, and it's strange. It's really strange because I don't know if it's like our generation or the millennials plus the millennial generation that's feeling like this. I feel like it is because, you know, we don't really have our culture's kind of, you know, there were other generations that were defined by certain things.
Yeah.
Like, you know, the previous ones had like world wars that defined them, like, you know, like Vietnam and World War II and stuff.
Yeah.
But like for our generation, what's defined us are these fleeting things, like commercial things, like you know, Saturday morning cartoons and like
Okay. Yeah.
the 8-track and VHS. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, and those things move so fast, and it's like, you know, there's no meaning to any of that kind of thing.
Right.
So I think a lot of people are left kind of like grasping at straws a little bit and just like, fuck. I think people, I think you're going to see more of that. I think you're actually, I was convinced by what they were saying, and I think you're actually going to see more of this going on and people looking to be red pilled, you know?
Maybe. Also, the thing is, I think that would be more of a cause because of the internet.
Okay. Yeah.
I think the internet just makes these groups larger than they are.
Yeah.
Artificially, just because, well, not artificially, just because the fact that it's so huge, right? Or the internet separates people's distance so much so that now a crazy guy in Bangladesh can also talk to a crazy guy in Texas, you know? So.
Yeah. I also thought it was dangerous too.
What?
That the way these ideas sort of propagate so
I
fast
agree.
because
Yeah.
you know it was especially it really scared me to the point like especially the part where I think somebody ended up mentioning that they were a third generation flat earther or something.
Yeah, when they had the 12-year-old kid go
Yeah.
up, I was like, oh,
That
God.
really-
That's the kind of shit is why you can't have this kind of thinking, right? But hopefully the kid.
But you want to nip it in the bud. That's kind of where I'm like, you know, we need to reach these kids and be
Right.
like, hey, like this is, look, these people saying this, like that's not necessarily, that's not the way to think about it. Like let's show you, let's show you experiments. You know, let's take you out to disprove this. I
Right.
can show you an easy experiment to say, look, the Earth's not flat. Boom.
Well,
We're
let me
done.
say
Move on.
this also. The thing is, I'm hoping that flat Earth is something so preposterous that
Like
we have this kind
anti-vax?
of nailed down. Yeah. Well, we have this thing kind of nailed down. Like, you got to be really French belief flat Earth. So I'm hoping that the kid will just get made fun of relentlessly in school to the point where
But a shame.
he'll just be like, okay, there's something really stupid going on here. I probably need to reevaluate my thinking. And that could actually prompt him to be a better critical thinker and less trusting of that kind of stuff if he can work out of it at a younger age. And it will actually make him even better at being a logical, critical thinking person in the future, I think.
I mean, that's the route that I took.
Yeah, that's why I think, you know, it's good sometimes to start off in a dogmatic family.
Sure.
If you can escape it, you're going to be extremely good usually at critical thinking.
Right.
At least better than the norm, because it's very hard to unindoctrinate yourself.
Sure. Yeah.
So the kid could either become like, you know, an insanely logical thinker, or he could just be another dogmatic crazy
but
person.
you're saying that's a flip of a coin.
Yeah. But I think
That's the thing. It's really down to the individual, man.
But if you need,
I think everything's down to the individual
but
person.
what if you had more guidance? Like I'm saying, like we need to have more active guidance in a sense. Like if
more active guidance towards critical thinking skills.
Yeah, like as a society, kind of, you know.
Yeah, I think we do pretty good. Well,
yeah, but we're all scared. Like especially Americans. I think this is kind of a uniquely American, at least from what they showed.
Yeah,
a lot of Americans, and it was an international conference.
Okay,
and I was like, dude, this might be. I mean, it's not unique to Americans, but you know, there's definitely an anti-intellectual, like they think science.
Oh
is
yeah,
elitist.
we're going through a zeitgeist of anti-intellectualism, is what you're saying.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree.
And it's dangerous, right?
Yeah,
because
it
creates
extremely.
a divide between the people who know and the people who don't know, and people who think they know,
Right.
and then make policies.
The people who
based on
think
those
they know are
things.
the ones that are the most
the
brutally scary.
Cunning Duker?
cunning Dunning-Kruger effect.
Jesus.
Dunning-Kruger. Yeah.
Oh man, my brain is just like.
They address that in the
do.
documentary too. Both those points you just made about the people who think they know and the Dunning-Kruger effect.
Yeah. So yeah, it's you know, we're like, I mean, this is kind of how Donald Trump came to be president.
Yeah.
And this is why I'm saying, like, it genuinely terrified me, because I was like, fuck.
It's just amazing to me that people still fall for snake oil salesmen. I'm just like, I guess because it's just something that is so far beyond me now that it's just like, damn, I forget that people still buy this bullshit from people.
Well, think about, you know, I always bring up the statistics of like bachelor's degrees. Even people with bachelor's degrees are such a short segment of the population.
Yeah.
It's only 30%. 3 out of 10 people even earn a graduate bachelor's degree. An even shorter amount go even to higher levels of education.
Right.
Most people have a high school diploma. Most
That's kind of crazy.
I mean,
Can't believe it sometimes.
I know, but it's because you and I have been in education.
Well, I just feel like
system our
everybody I
whole
know
lives.
has at least gone to college. But I guess,
that's
yeah,
what
because that's
you've
who we're
been in.
surrounded with. But
Yeah.
like,
But-
it feels like everybody.
I know, but that's what I'm
It feels
saying.
like everyone. I'm like, where are these
grew
high
up-
school people?
Yeah, because we grew up. But think about everybody that we went to high school with. You know what I mean? I think I'm one of the
Yeah,
few
they're
people.
pretty bad.
I'm one of the few people who went to college and got a degree.
Damn, I'm not one of the few, but I do know some people
statistics
probably.
roughly. How many? If you think back to your high school days,
Probably
roughly.
a lot went to college.
So
I was
but
in a nice
graduated with a
area,
bachelor's
though.
though.
Huh?
But graduated with a bachelor's though.
Yeah, I
Like
think
50,
probably a
you
good
think 50-50 or more than that?
I'm not sure, man. It feels like most everybody on my Facebook has gone to college.
But no, I'm just saying, like in high school, in your high school. Do you
Yeah,
think-
well, that's the people on my Facebook is high school usually.
maybe
I don't
you made,
really
maybe
know,
you
man,
made
'cause I
friends.
maybe-
Maybe you made friends in high school that were all going to college.
I think that's probably what it is. 'Cause I usually really distance myself from people who are fucking up for a long time.
Okay. Yeah.
And I cut people out really quick who I don't,
I see.
you know,
Yeah.
see
So
any
you see, like,
foreseeable future.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
No, yeah. I don't know. I'm just kind of like, it's something that we need to remember, right? Something that we need to like kind of think about coming into policy and shit. And it's not. And you know, we also have to be careful about creating a divide between like people like you and I were like scientists and educated and stuff.
That's true.
And then pushing people away and then saying like, you know, it's kind of hard to not put your nose down on people like that. Like,
Yeah.
Because I have family that have not been educated as the level that I am. And I think I made a
Right.
joke one time to you saying that the level of knowledge that I know, I might as well be Illuminati to them. Like, you know what
It's
I mean?
so true, man. It's so
like,
true.
dude, we know so fucking much.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and it's, and yeah.
People just don't have any kind of understanding of that world
Yeah.
unless you're in it. I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should be a better education. I think the black dude in the bar that was talking was a physicist that was kind of talking about that.
Yeah, he was.
He seemed like he was kind of doing an outreach at the Flat Earth conference, and they didn't even realize because it said he was a physicist. I was like,
oh no! This was at the astrophysics meet or something.
Oh, was that what it was?
Yeah. He was speaking to fellow scientists.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I was confused. I was like,
What is he doing there?
if this dude is a fucking flat earther as a physicist and he's black, I'm like,
No.
we're gonna have
Give him more
major
credit than
problems.
that, man.
Yeah, I got scared for a second though.
No, yeah.
You know, all
was,
black people represent each other.
yeah. I mean, when you're a minority, you kind of have to do your best to represent.
Yeah,
your
you're like
culture.
an ambassador automatically.
Yeah. But yeah, it was. I liked his message was the most poignant. I think, for me, at least in the doc, because he highlighted that point where it's, we don't want to create a divide between us and the public. We kind of want to like outreach to them and try to capture as many natural scientists as we can, and don't let them go to the fringe. Don't let them be taken by these people that are saying, that generally are saying, don't trust authority, which is a genuinely decent idea.
Yeah. But the thing with science is you can see the results.
Yeah.
So the thing is with like politicians, I get it because they're just so dumb and just the whole thing is a circus anyway. It's like
You're
it
more prone to
disillusions
bias,
people.
right?
Huh?
In politics, I think more people are prone to bias.
Yeah.
It's not really data driven.
And it shows. Like the system is just always seems broken.
Yeah.
But with science, you see things like airplanes in the air.
Yeah.
You see things like iPhones in your pocket.
Yeah.
You see things like driving in vehicles.
Yeah.
Or vehicles that drive themselves.
Right.
So the proof is in the pudding for science. Like to me, it was like the system I was searching for in all my life.
Yeah.
That is a system that has rigor and has some kind of standard to it, a universal standard. A lot of other professions just never even see that kind of thing. And politics is one of them.
Yeah.
And those are the people who run the world. So it shows you that you can go to very high levels and people can still be, susceptible to the same kind of bullshit that you should have gotten rid of a long time ago, And politics, actually thrives off of psychological manipulation and things like that. So to me, it's just like, I get why people are skeptical of authority, because when you see high level professions like that still do the same dumb bullshit that, you think that higher educated and highly evolved people shouldn't be doing, it makes people skeptical.
Yeah.
But fortunately, science doesn't operate that way.
Yeah.
The way it's built is very solid.
I'm glad about that. The institutional, like, what is it? Like fact checking machine, like people want to disprove you.
Right. And the thing is, even if you're wrong in science and you make some fucking paper and you publish it and you're wrong, someone's going to find that you're wrong. And then your paper is going to be thrown in the garbage.
And there is a crisis of that, because there was this, it's kind of ironic, but there was a study that showed that 90% of studies can't be proven or something. They have.
But this is not
like, people can
hard
replicate.
science. This is like also psychology and all kinds of other
but
things.
even then, even in regular like day-to-day, even in the STEM field, like people can replicate the data exactly, because a lot of the time what happens is these research groups end up picking their best data, like that they get from a set of trials, in a sense. So it's kind of like there's a little bit of a gray area.
Well, the beauty of science is also it's a numbers game too. So even if you do have some papers that don't agree, the more papers you have that do agree, it's going to be a statistical thing where 60% of the papers that have this thing shown, you're 60% more likely that this is true. And the more papers you have, eventually statistics will take care of this.
Yeah, citations usually tell you at the end of the day what's a good paper and what isn't, because
so science has so many naturally inbuilt checks.
Yeah.
It's the most solid system.
Yeah.
It's just so, at least I'm talking like physics and hard sciences.
Yeah.
You can test these things, people can confirm them, you can have more and more papers to pile up the evidence, and it just becomes clear.
Yeah.
It's not like politics where you're going to have constant bickering and different opinions on things.
Yeah.
Or even like psychology where, trying to figure out humans, people have like 5 different interpretations
models,
of the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's why I like physics.
Richard
That's
Feynman,
why I try to not spend my time on anything else wishy-washy or as little as possible.
Feynman was quoted to say physics is probably the easiest science.
Yeah, very true,
I think
right?
because he's saying you start with like a chess. It's most physics is toy models.
Right.
Like, you start with like simple chess pieces,
Right.
and then you build up. But no, I kind of wanted to do a 180 to like
Sure.
the whole college university thing.
Okay.
You heard about this? There's like a
The
whole
cheating
scandal.
thing. I kind of like dabbled in it, but I'm not well versed. You might have filled me in.
So people paying into there's a whole scandal of parents paying schools to get students into.
Yeah, I saw the
universities.
Full House mom was caught for something like this.
Yeah, she's one of the few celebrities getting caught and swept up in this. But it was so egregious. If that's
The crazy
right
thing
word.
was I saw like 5 different news agencies running this headline, and when I saw the headline, I was just like, and
So
who cares?
Do you think people should be imprisoned for something like that? Because there are people that like say
No.
that's wrong, and I'm kind of like, it's a gray area. Like, it definitely ruins the reputation of the school. Like, first off, because I mean, if you're willing to take money to get students in, like.
To me, this is like, I already thought this was what college was anyway. So to me, it's not like a shocking thing.
Yeah,
people are like all up in arms about this, and I'm just confused, scratching my head. I'm like,
Yeah.
this is literally what higher institutions have been forever.
Yeah,
They just aren't as this direct.
That's how you get a name on
Yeah.
the building.
It's like, yeah, exactly. It's like people buy a building, and then
their
the
kids,
legacy kids get into college. Like, this is literally the same thing that people have been doing for the past 100 years or so.
Yeah. Which is why I was that's why I was like kind of perturbed by it, because a lot of people were like, yeah, fuck those rich people. Like, and I'm like, like it kind of turned into a race thing at some point, because some people were saying like,
Yeah, of course. When you talk rich, it's always white, right?
Yeah. The rich white kids,
Yeah.
like, and then because they brought up about how like, a lot of people say that minorities get into college because affirmative action.
Of course.
So they're like, white people say like, oh,
or
did you get
basketball
in?
scholarship.
Yeah. Or like, so it's like people were like, what the fuck? Like, don't be mad at like minorities for getting into college thinking they took some white kids like.
Oh, they're saying that
Position.
white kids have to cheat now because of minorities taking positions.
There was some of that. There was some of
Okay.
that, and like
There's always
like,
there's
they have
always
to-
passing the blame to somebody.
Yeah,
huh?
dude. It's like, what the fuck, man?
Yeah.
I was so like, whatever, dude. This is so ridiculous. Like, I honestly don't think. Look, it's something. It's unethical. I don't think they should be. I mean, I guess because it's a public institution. Like, I'm sure governments have rules to not take. That's kind of bribery in a sense, right? Like, if you're doing it at a public university.
I'm
Right?
not sure.
Because think about it,
I
fundamentally.
thought it was a private institution, because like Yale and shit.
No. This specifically heard one of the. I think it
Oh,
was
it's like
the daughter.
USC.
Yeah,
you're right. Okay.
And I was like, why would you pay money to go to
I know,
USC?
and like $5 million. I'm like, are you a shitty like business
go to-
person? Like,
go to
why
a
would you
better
ever
s-
pay $5 million for fucking college?
I'm like, especially a local university.
Yeah.
Like, go pick a better
I'm
fucking
like,
university.
get better at negotiating.
Yeah,
Jesus,
dude,
like that was the egregious part to me. I'm like,
Yeah.
why would you ever pay that much for someone to rig the game? You can buy it for way cheaper than that, I'm sure.
Yeah, yeah. And it's like, look, I would pay money to go to a like, if I was even on that level of trying to pay my kids way into college, like, and not in a way that's like, the usual avenues, but bribing somebody. Like,
Yeah.
I would actually not only go for the highest level school, like,
Right.
like that's.
And you would be spending a lot less than $5 million.
Yeah. And it's like, what the fuck? Like Yale and Harvard, I think they already, I mean, it's kind of an open secret at this point, right? Like they do that. They do that.
This has been forever, dude. I'm like,
Yeah.
these people were just more, it's just like more in your face. So now people are up in arms.
I see.
I'm like, I get it. Because, yeah, if you're going to
And
be
at the
shady,
lower
do it
tiers,
behind
right?
closed doors like everybody
Yeah.
else.
Yeah, and at lower tiers, right? These were all lower tier schools.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, you
Yeah.
know, I mean,
But I just think it's hilarious how people are up in arms about this. I'm like, it's just so funny how people just only care when it's like direct, even though this shit's been going on forever.
yeah.
And I'm just like, who cares anyway? Because college is bunk as it is.
Yeah.
It's like, why would you ever invest that much money for a stupid piece of paper that's useless?
One of the daughters, she was like, she was like a they called her a YouTube influencer.
Yeah, she was a makeup artist. Or something.
Yeah, yeah.
She got actually her
Expelled?
contract with Sephora got
Shit, got
disbanded
pulled.
because of that. Yeah, damn. I'm like, that sucks.
But she was quoted on video. I saw this little snippet they took out, but she was just like, I want to go to college for like the parties and the stuff. She's like, the education part is kind of like, eh. And
Hey, I feel
like,
her. That's a smart way to go.
And I was like, dude, look, you don't say that and then like I get that you want to party and shit. I think that was the sentiment. A lot of movies we grew up with, right?
Dude, that's why I went to college.
I mean, I can imagine it. I mean,
I loved
like,
college because of that.
Yeah, I know. I mean, fucking what's his name? When I was entering college, Asher Roth had come out with this song, "I Love College."
Yeah, I remember.
That song.
Yeah.
One hit wonder. If you don't know,
Was it when you were going? Oh, damn, you're fucking young, Juan. I was like, I feel like that's like
you're only
high
3
school
years
or
older
something.
than me, but
Okay.
But it was my like freshman. What? Wait, hold on. It was my senior year of high school.
Okay, I was gonna say because I felt
Not
like I was in high school at that, or I felt like I was in.
You were just probably entering college.
Really?
Probably.
Asher Roth, I like college.
Yeah.
Maybe you're right.
Yeah.
I can't remember now.
But yeah, anyway, it was like, yeah. And I was like thinking there was a generation, I think you were part of that. So was I. I was on the tail end of it.
Yeah.
But it was like
The Red Cup generation.
the Red Cup generation,
Yeah,
like
bro.
college movies, like
Fucking love
party
that.
and shit. Yeah, I mean that's all cool. Like I still have a sentiment where I'm like, dude, I want to go to a frat. I've never been to like frat parties and shit.
It's
never
over
been, and,
now,
like,
Juan.
I know it's over now. I'm kind
You're
of
gonna
sad.
be like, I want to just go to bed.
Dude, because I'm like, yo, I want to go to a frat party where wild shit is going on. Like, people.
It ain't even gonna be fun now.
Like me and my friends, we try to replicate that in some ghetto ass neighborhood with like shitty keg stand and whatnot. And like, dude, it was
over.
sad. It was just a sausage party and it was
Right.
kind of lame.
You got to either have been there during the time or you move on.
Okay, you paid for so I mean, look, if you got to live it, props. Like
Yeah.
you lived in
I
an
definitely
era.
lived
You
it
lived,
for
you
too
lived-
long.
You lived through a part of history.
Yeah.
It
was fucking
There's
epic.
probably nothing like that ever. There's probably never going to be anything like that.
I wouldn't say that. I think people always like to party. It might be next level, actually.
I think people are in a
Imagine-
crisis now.
Oh, you think?
I think because there's a lot more instability. People aren't as optimistic about.
Yeah, and also you
outcomes.
get all your shit on blast on the internet now.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
people recording you at a fucking
Yeah,
party
yeah.
drunk.
Yeah, because back then flip phones, nothing could get out.
Jesus.
You know what I mean? Like there were unique
Yeah,
facets.
man. Yeah.
that
I couldn't imagine. It was already getting bad with Facebook and shit, but
And MySpace and like
yeah,
people.
man.
Yeah.
But like, damn, now they're fully in it. It's
So
like
I'm
you can't do shit now.
Yeah, I mean, you'd be put on blast for anything. You and your
Yeah.
buddies would be put on blast for anything. Like even girls, I'm sure they would get it worse and shit.
Right.
But like, yeah,
Can't
man.
have fun.
Like I'm saying, the level of fun isn't at the same level.
No.
I think because there was a lot more debauchery going on. Like
Yeah.
with the Girls Gone Wild era shit. You know what I'm saying? Like all this stuff. And I'm like, I'm telling you, I was at the tail end. So I looked at you guys, all the older
Yeah.
crowd, like just living the life. And I'm like, fuck, I gotta go into STEM. Because the future looks
Poor
uncertain.
Yeah, well, you had to, man. You did the route you needed to go.
yeah. But
for me, I was a spoiled ass kid, so I got to fuck around for a while.
I'm glad you have stories though.
Yeah, I am
that's
too.
that's
I'm
always
glad I got to
important.
do it,
Yeah, that's good.
even though I'm an old bastard now in graduate school.
Yeah, but
but
that's good. That's good. No, I mean, it's good to have stories and have the life
yeah,
experiences.
I wouldn't trade it out.
Don't, man. Yeah, but yeah, I just thought it was funny that people were like, locked him in a cage and shit. And I'm like, it's not that big of a scandal. Like, I think overall they should probably, the schools should get in more trouble than the people giving the money. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think the people giving the money should maybe get fined.
Yeah.
Or maybe some kind of community service. I don't know. But yeah, the schools need to be held to the more, or maybe not even the school if they're saying, I think they're trying to play it off as bad actors, which probably is true. But the schools are trying to eschew the people who are involved by saying they're bad actors.
Oh, I see. Like the institution is not taking
Yeah,
any blame?
exactly. Which is probably true, right? Because you would never put that in your policy as school, and you can immediately just distance yourself from them and say, yeah, these people were operating on their own accord, so they
I
get the
see.
consequences. So they
I
should get the
see.
consequences for it.
I see. Okay. Like the admission, a certain person at the admissions or something.
Yeah,
board is in trouble. I see.
And maybe the school might be held to putting some more regulation on something in particular.
Yeah,
I don't know.
But this is like, now that money's involved, it makes it even worse because, like, to me, it's like you could have asked for a letter of recommendation. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of on the same level, right? Like, but it's more honorable or something, right?
I don't know.
The fuck? You know what I mean? Like, there's kind of weird boundaries that we draw in society, and I'm like, that's kind of like, we have to like really think about this a little bit better.
Yeah, it just all seemed to me like laughable. It just made me chuckle at another thing that why colleges should be down in the drain.
Yeah, man, I don't know, but
I'm sure it's somebody's issue, but for me, it's just like college is going to be dead in 15 years anyway. I don't care.
Yeah, maybe all online trade schools.
Yeah, it's completely just oversaturated.
Yeah,
overpriced, useless, waste of time. I don't know.
Trade schools.
Yeah, those might be useful if they're priced well.
Yeah.
Really, internet entrepreneurship, that's the way now. Open your own business. Give me $5 million.
Or give you $1,000.
Yeah,
like,
give me a small loan of $5 million. I'll use it on something useful.
Or like that Andrew Yang guy where he wants to give $1,000. Have you heard about this?
No.
He's like a 2020 Democratic candidate. He wants to give everybody $1,000.
Oh, a UBI?
A UBI.
What is that going to do?
He wants to start the the revolution.
It's the shittiest UBI I ever heard of. What is $1,000 going to do for anyone?
I don't know. He's saying it'll ease economic burden on people and shit.
Sounds like a stupid idea to me.
We can talk. I'll have you like listen to his and we can talk about this more.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, man. Good
Maybe
show.
we should wrap it up.
Yeah. Good show.
The cat's
featuring
asleep.
Maisie.
She enjoyed it.
Dude, taking a wrist nap over here.
Yeah. She's all laid up on my hand.
Dude, I know.
I feel bad enough to wake her up now.
Knock her off. Yeah, man. But all right. Did you want to add anything else?
That's it, bro.
Let's wrap it up. All right. Bill O'Reilly, take us out.
We'll do it live.
Oh, wait. No, wrong one.
I don't know what that means, to play us out. What does that mean? To end the show?